my little river find project. So what's that all about? Well, I was fumbling around down in the river, found a piece of leaf spring, thought I'd make some knives out of it. And if you're watching this now, you would have seen probably the first part where I cut these two here, which I made up. They'll be finished by now by the time I upload this video, but that's where we're up to at this stage. These ones here, and we're going to move apart. I'm making 3 knives, so there's naturally those 2 and this little piece here, which is a folding knife. And that's a little bit what this video is going to be about. So this piece here, little part left, so this will be the second folding knife I've ever made. So learning from past experience, I've got another couple of jigs I'm going to have to make up. I've got that hole in there. Last time I got that a little bit wrong, so I put the hole in and I'm going to shape that blade around that hole so I get it right. I've got this old indicator thing here which I scavenged out of the trash and rebuilt, and it's working not too bad now, so that's one of the jigs. This here for the little pin, if you can see that, put in there so I can sand it and get it really flat. So that's what I'm up to in this video. I'm going to, yeah, like I say, go back, have a look. You might see the process with those. And we're going to move forward with the folding knife and we'll see what comes out of that. So that's my little intro out of the way. Yeah, we're moving forward with this little project, the river find, as I've said probably 100 times, but there we go. So got the rough blade, as you know. What I think I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and get the tuning a little bit sorted around here because that's still quite roughed out. So if you want to have a look, I've posted up a video. I've made this little jig here. I think it's called a rise and fall indicator, not sure. But anyway, I've made this. Put that on yesterday, so if you want to have a look, flick back and have a look at that one. So that's what I'm going to do, that's where I think I'm going to go for, and then once I've done that, of course I'll have to figure out a spring. I thought, and probably shouldn't because it hurts and everything else, but I'll try and use the leftover of the old leaf spring we found in the river, but I don't know if there's enough there. It's pretty ratty. There's not a little bit there. Anyway, I'll use as much of that as I can, and I'm thinking I'll put some brass bolsters on their front as well. Probably shouldn't have drilled a 6mm hole in there, could have gone smaller, but anyway, it is what it is, we'll work with that. So yeah, then I've got to figure out some liners and what I'm going to put on for a handle. So yeah, that's about exactly what we're up to, and we're going to move forward with that right now. So let's go. Righty-ho, not sure if you can see that too clearly, but if I get this back around to here, good enough there, set that, if you can see that's on the 0. This one here's got a wee bit further to go, get round to here and we haven't got far to go at all, we're way back to there, so we're getting close. So I'm going to leave that filing there for now until I get a spring in there, get a spring sorted out and figure out what I'm going to do with the spring. I don't want to go too far and take too much out. We haven't got a lot to work with. So anywho, that's the plan. I have come into a wee bit of an issue. This little corner here, if you can see that on the video. You would have seen me on the 2x72. I've sort of got that a little bit too hot. That little wee corner there is as hard as a coffin nail now, so I'm going to have to try and redo the anneal. But oh well, that's all good, that's what happens. So yeah, quite happy with that, quite happy with my gauge. So from there, I'm going to figure out a spring and move from there. Yeah, like I just said, she's gone a bit hard. The 2x72, I could shape it on that, but she takes off a bit too much for me, and I want to try and get this as accurate as I can. So I'm just going to give it a bit of a normalise, see if I can get a little bit softer. Hopefully that's worked. I'll go and bang that in the forge and let it cool down in there, actually, and so we can keep filing it. So what you saw me just doing there is I'm just roughing out the handle and getting an idea of a spring shape. You can see that clearly in the video. Just roughly at this stage, do I know anything about springs and spring tension and all the rest of it with folding knives? No, not really. So I'm just making it up as I go. So as with most of my custom made knives, well, all of them really, they will evolve as they go. So it may not end up exactly like the image I have in my mind at the moment, but hopefully it'll work all right. So there we go. So what I need to do is get a bit of material, see if I can use, I don't know, I'm not going to be able to get that out of that. It's not going to work. So I'll go and scavenge around and try and find something, and I just need to get it the same width as that, or slightly a little bit bigger, and then we'll go from there. We'll do our spring and we'll get that a-rocking. Like I say, it'll have to be refined because I've got no idea what I'm doing, but yeah, we'll get there and we'll make it up and work it out as we go. So that shouldn't be too bad. It's once again, like my other folding knife, it's coming out a little bit bigger than I thought in the handle department, but as long as it's comfortable in the hand, everybody will be happy. So what I want is a copy of both of those, and I don't have a photocopier out here, so I'm going to do the old ancient rubbing method. Transfer that, so I draw it with a pencil. Try and rub that onto there and see if we can make a rough copy. Good enough. So now I've got a copy of a sort of a profile of my liners as well. So I'll cut out the spring thing, I'll cut out the liners, and it's all go. So I think you just saw me doing something, cutting it out and getting my spring and stuff sorted, getting a few patterns did a little bit of, ended up ripping out a bit of spring steel, giving it a surface grind. Still have to go down in thickness a little bit yet, but yeah, early days. I'll do that once I get it cut out and all the rest of it, because I just, yeah, want to tweak it up slowly. So anyway, that's what that is. So I've decided to use a bit of stainless steel again for my liners, due to the lack of having anything else to use. So I'll just mark that out. Leaving a bit of excess everywhere, of course, and trimming up later on. Just seems to be the nature of the beast, I guess. So yeah, just going to roughly mark out my spring, cut my spring out. You might note also too that I give the old spring steel there a bit of a heat up. Clamped it in that little vice thing just to get the straightness in it. The little surface grind attachment there that I made also helps to get that a bit flatter. But yeah, spring steel can be a bit bent like that, so that's just how it is. So yeah, so far so good, we're getting on. And I hope you're enjoying it. I am, definitely. So that's all cool. I'll cut out some squares there for the liners. I'll get the spring thing marked up here. I'll leave a heap of excess on the top, because it's sort of a rough grind, you know what I mean? And I'll tweak it up. I'm not going to go too hard on the 2x72 because, well, I'll tell you why, because it takes off a bit too much for me too quick. So when I come down to the finer tuning of it, I will be using the files, as you'll probably see. So that's probably in the wrong place, but yeah, like I say. So I roughly grind on the 2x72 and then I tweak it up, get the excess out. So the liners, the handle and all the rest of it, and even the spring now, I'm getting into sort of unknown territory really. So I've never done it before. I've done one, but it was a different design. Go and have a look, you'll see what I'm talking about. This time I need to get a little bit more accurate, which that doesn't look like it is. So that's all good. Happy with that. So yeah, that's exactly where we're up to. And so we'll move on. Probably a better way of doing it would be to glue these patterns on, which is quite often what I do. But I'm not going to do that this time. Don't know why, just not. Yeah. Cool, so let's fire up the 5" and get those roughly cut out and keep going. So there was a little bit of cutting out, a bit of taking off the burrs and a bit of shaping. So we'll note now, if you look down here, as you can see, I've got that folded up. Spring, I've made that up roughly. Like I say, a bit of excess on there, but that's good enough for now, because I'm still developing my process, as it were. So I've set it at a 0 there, pull it around to the half stop, and it's still pretty close to 0. Don't really know why you have a half stop, but a lot of professional makers put half stops in there, so I thought I'd do the same. You can explain to me why you have them if you know, but yeah, I have no idea. But anyway, that's that. I go back round to there and it's closed, and we're pretty close to the 0 once again, so I'm pretty happy with that. There is a little bit of slop in this here. You can see how it moves around a little bit, but I've tried it and tried it and tried it, and I think I'm within about, if I'm reading this gauge right, within about 0.1 of a mil. So will you be able to feel that with your finger? Who knows? it's got to be better than this one here. That there is, to be quite honest, is about 1.5 mil. So I've got it down a little bit finer than that, so the gauge is working good. I'm happy with that. According to the internet, the experts are telling me, if you look down in this little piece here, and I'll try to do a little diagram to explain what they've been saying to me. This here being a piece of paper, you can see it. So in that groove there on my last pocket knife, oh, kick the camera, sorry about that. My last pocket knife, I tried to make it exactly right. But what I've been researching in that is where it comes in on the blade here. This is exaggerated naturally, comes down here like this and comes up here, that there being the blade, not the rest. And then the spring will come in here. Oh, paper's moving a bit. So according to the experts, you want it to have on 2 points of contact, like there and there. Somewhere around like that on where it's touching. You don't want it really to be touching in here, so you want it free in the corner, which is what I've done. Simple concept, makes a lot of sense. One of those things I probably don't know why I didn't think of it before, but yeah, so that's what I'm aiming for on that one there. So that's where we're up to now, so that's good. Everyone's happy. Got my little pins and I'm going to put in the middle. So from there, yeah, what I'm going to do, I've got my liners, drill my holes in my liners, which you didn't see. So there's one there and there's another one there, pretty rough in a minute, but we'll sort that out. I've put this pinhole in here and I've drilled that right through this plate. So if you look at my little video on my gauge thing, you'll note that this top plate comes off. So I've drilled that one there too, because I want to get all this and this and this exactly the same as what it is when I set it up on the gauge. So I'll take this plate off, I'll hold it in the middle there on the liner, and then I'll drill that hole there. I can't remember now, I don't know if I'll do that or not, and then I'll tension it somehow. I'll have to rethink that, tension it up and drill these 2 holes anyway to get them in the right place. What I will probably do is that one I'll move, so when I pull this one down into line it puts a lot of tension on this spring, but I might go over that when I get up to it. That's the theory anyway, and that's where I'm up to. So from here I've got a lot of hand filing in here to do. This piece here I'm going to have to refine to get the tension right, which at this stage I've got no idea how to do that or what to do, so I'll just have a tweak around and get back to you on that. So yeah, all good. So yeah, moving on from where we were, done a bit of pondering, given it a bit of thought, a bit of contemplation as it were, and we've come up with these bits here, which you've just seen me doing. I've done a bit of filing on the spring piece here and got that pretty much where I want it to be. So that part's all good. The liners, I've given them quite a bit of refinement there. Got myself out some offcuts of Rimu which I had left over, so that's all good. Got some brass bolsters. What I'm going to do on the front, I've got this little piece here. This is, I'm not sure where I got it from. I'll try and focus. It's just a bit of 6mm tube. But what it does, it takes a 5mm tap, pretty much really good, easy enough to do. And that's going to be a spacer in the blade, which will just hold it, and the liners will sit on the top of that. So that spacer will be in the blade there, if you can see that. And then I'm going to hold the front in with these, these countersunk fasteners. So that shouldn't be too bad, that should be good. I had a bit of hesitation when I was thinking about putting the spring in the liners. So what I've done, if we get a closer look on there, wrong way, there we go. If you can see that clear enough in there, what I've actually done is I placed the blade on there as you'd expect. I put the spring on just like that. I drilled the back hole here. Move that into the middle of the camera hopefully. Drilled the back hole, and then what I've done is I've just dropped this back one down just about, not quite half a hole. Dropped it down half a hole, round about, not quite, and then drilled that one there. Theory being that when you put it together and assemble it, is the middle of the spring there will be protruding a little bit. So then I'll take my pin, as you can see I've tapered it up, and once I assemble it I'll put that pin in there, and that should pull that spring down and keep some tension on it. That's the theory anyway, and it seems to be working. You'll note for these little pins here I've used 3.2 stainless TIG welding wire due to the fact that there's quite an abundance of that, and I've got 3.2mm drill bits. So that's where we're up to now. That's all good. You would have seen also before what I've done quite a lot, because as I said, probably more than once, so I've never done a spring like this before, so I've really got to take it easy and just go slow. So take a little bit out, file it, come back, test it, take a little bit out, file it, you get the picture. So that'll go in there like that. The liner will go on top of that one. And then the little spacer, hopefully will thread on there. Maybe not, maybe yes. And I've had to, just check and check and check. Now the reason I've got a little spacer is because you can see on this blade here, I'll get it focused, yep, quite a lot of crap and corruption. It's not exactly flat. I want to try and keep as much of that history as it were, so we know where it came from. So I've given it a little spacer. So on she goes. It goes there, and this one goes on the top. One thing to note, when I countersunk those holes, that these fasteners aren't exactly the same. There's a little bit of variation in the countersink on the top of those, but we'll get away with it. It'll be good enough. So every time I take a little bit out of the spring, I'll bring it back and I'll do exactly this. You don't want to be assembling it with just half of it. You want to put it together properly. So I've been told, well that's what I think anyway. Just assemble the whole thing together. It's a bit of mucking around, but it's worth doing it. Then I'll put the spring in like so. Put the back pin in. Probably not in the camera, but here we go. Back pin in, and then I'll put this tapered one in. You can't quite see in there, but you can see that spring is slightly protruded up on the top. When I push the tapered pin in, that'll pull it down and put some tension on it, like so, which you can't see because it's out of the camera, but there we go. So that's pretty happy with where that's at now, and I've done that quite a few times just to get it right. You might note that that's flush with the liners. I've still got more to tweak off there, but I'll do that once I get the final assembly. There's your half stop. That's pretty good, pretty tight. It's interfering a little bit here because I haven't put a bevel on the blade, but apart from that. So it's quite tight, it's easy to open, snaps into place, and that's good. That's what we're looking for. So that's what we're up to, and that's exactly where I wanted it to be. So that's all cool. So from here, I'm going to take that spring, harden and temper it. Naturally I need to put a bevel on this and finish the blade. But I'll do the spring first, and then I'm going to attach these scales to it. So yeah, I may split this into two parts, but I'll think about that. Rightio, I'm going to go and harden and temper the spring. So there we go, we've given that a bit of a harden up. Come up pretty good. Skates of foil. So now we'll chuck her in the benchtop oven and we'll give it a bit of a temper. Oh, it's a small part, so I'm just going to give it 2 1-hour cycles, and I don't want it as hard as the blade's going to be. I just want it springy. So can't remember the temperature, look at your charts and stuff. I'm just over 200 degrees on this oven, but that could be anything at all, as I've explained in other videos. But yeah, that's just the temperatures that I arrive at on my oven, which works for me from the tests that I've done. So that's a spring, nearly done once we temper it. Cool. So we're getting to the end of our second pocket knife I ever made, and it's been a really good learning experience, to be fair. What you see me doing naturally is I've got the spring pretty much where I want it to be. A little bit of finishing off to get all this level and flush and everything else when we get to there. The blade is hardened and tempered. I've naturally just got a bevel to put on that and put a maker's mark and all the rest of it. Got my hinge piece there to put in the middle, which is working pretty good. My pins are good. You'll note that I've started finishing the bolsters. Put that on there. I tend to leave my scales too a little bit wide, quite wide there, because I find when I drill the holes they tend to break out a little bit around the wood, which I want to avoid. You'll note on my other pocket knife too that I countersunk some holes before I peened the pins, which was not the right way to go about it. So what I've got, and what you should do if you're peening stuff, is one of the first little hand tools I ever bought, which sat in the garage for probably 40 something years. Finally got a use for it, and I knew I would in the end. It's a tapered reamer. Those holes will, I'll tapered reamer those, so when I peen it up it doesn't leave a mess like I did last time, and gaps that I couldn't fill. So hopefully that theory works. So from here, I'm going to put a bevel on the blade and a bit of finishing off on the scales, just to make it comfortable, get everything flush and tidy, and that's where we're going to go from here. So like I said, we're nearly at the end of the video. It's been quite a long one, but there's quite a lot of process, there's quite a lot of work in a folding knife like this. So yeah, from there, let's go. Let's get this finished and wrap it up. So that's that, we'll wrap it up. That brings the Riverfine project to an end. And the second folding knife I ever made. I took the crusty old piece of leaf spring I found in the river, made that. Made one of those as well. Made that. If you can see it in the video, there you go. Flick back and have a look at my other Riverfine video, and hope you enjoy that one too. So yeah, that's where we're at, and that's what we've done. A bit of blundering, a bit of pondering, and a bit of getting there in the end, and that's what we come up with. Spring tension's probably a little bit tight, but I'm happy with it. Very happy with it, to be fair. It's working really good. A lot of learning. As you would have noted, I was a bit indecisive about the spring, and yeah, I've taken some patterns. I'll get some more jigs and I'll get things sorted out a little better, but I'm happy with that. Very happy with it. It's come up really good. The dial indicator definitely made a difference, and it was a good thing to have. So very glad with that. So yeah, like I say, we'll wrap it up there, call it a day. Time to have a coffee, do some more pondering, and come up with another project to start working on. So yeah, thanks for watching. Really hope you enjoyed it, and to all those who subscribe and support the channel, thank you so much, because that really helps. Hope you have a beautiful day.